Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Silver Slayer. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome. This is by far my most important video. If you cannot grasp this concept, then you honestly shouldn't be investing in silver. I'm about to expose the real value of silver in a way I can guarantee you've never thought of. So before you start assuming, before you try to tell me I'm crazy, watch this entire video and then you can state your opinions. Welcome to my channel. Now, I really hope you guys try to follow along because this is definitely one of my most important videos and some of the most important information that I will give on this channel. If you understand this, you will never have a single doubt. You will never worry about the markets. You will never have fear. You will never panic sell. You will have complete faith and trust, and you will truly understand silver's value. Now, to give some backstory, and it's going to go along with what I'm saying. Silver's been valuable since the beginning of man, over 5,000 years. Back in biblical times, Egyptian times, silver was about just as valuable as gold. The ratio was 2.5 parts silver equals 1 part gold, so 2.5 to 1. They saw silver as magical back in the day because it could purify water. It responded with other elements like no other metal could. So silver really performs just as well as gold does. It wasn't until 1930 when FDR changed the gold to silver ratio from 16 to 1 to 75 to 1. And yes, you heard me correctly, 16 to 75. FDR single-handedly devalued silver. So we know that silver pretty much should be as valuable as gold, or close to it, if we're looking at the gold to silver ratio coming out of the ground at 8 to 1. So 80 to 1 ratio just shows that man has devalued silver, not the reality of the metal, digging out the ground or how much is in the Earth's crust. So knowing that, now we can get started. If you look at silver's price and you look at what it can do, now you can get an idea of where it should be, because we have to understand where it should be, not where it is, but where it should be or where it could be. See, this is the point that I'm trying to make in this video. Anytime we've looked at silver's price, we've compared it, we've pegged it to that price in history. So when silver was $50 in 2011, we pegged it to that time in 2011. Stock market volatility, what's happening with the dollar index, etc. When we look at silver in March, we've pegged it to that time, right? The pandemic broke out. People were going crazy, liquidating their assets. Anytime we look at silver's price, it's pegged to that direct point in history of the economy's strength, right? The dollar index, stock market volatility, the supply and demand. It's always pegged to that point in time. So moving forwards, we can never try to assume or forecast or predict what the price is going to be, because we've never been in that situation ever in time. So the markets are ever changing. The economy is ever changing. The dollar index is ever changing, and it's all getting worse. So looking forwards, if we throw out trillions of dollars in stimulus, which we've never done before, the dollar index is ever changing and getting worse. $27 trillion in debt right now. In 10 years from now, it's probably going to be $40 or $50 million or $1 trillion in debt. Do you guys understand how big of a difference $1 trillion is than $1 billion? I don't think the human brain can fathom how much larger of a number $1 trillion is than $1 billion. We're throwing out trillions of dollars nowadays. Back in 2008 to 2011, which led to $50 silver, We went from $1 billion of stimulus, which led to $50 silver. We're about to throw out trillions of dollars, plus trillions of dollars in this green energy revolution. And the dollar is already on its last leg. And this was before the pandemic. This was before we ever thought about throwing trillions of dollars out. The dollar was already in its last leg. So now, this is going to cause something that people can't even fathom. And I say this because it's not like we had a choice. If any of the candidates, candidate A, B, or C, wanted to win the election, they had to throw out that $1 trillion stimulus word. So they knew what could happen to our financial system, but they had no choice. They had to throw this money out, regardless of the cost to pay. So we were forced to put ourselves in this situation. They knew that they knew we didn't have this money to give out, but we had to give it out because this pandemic has affected so many people. So looking forwards, we literally do not know how bad this is going to hit the dollar or our financial system. It's going to be a lot worse than people could think because of all the other circumstances, all the other things that have already been devaluing and destroying the dollar that most people, 99% of the people, don't even know about. Most people don't even know that America's $27 trillion in debt. Most people don't even know the dollar's already lost 98% of its purchasing power and 44% in the last 20 years. People think America's all rich, right? America's the richest country, and that's only because we own the most gold. So, going back to what I was saying about silver's price being pegged in a specific time in history. Since we know all of this going on, we literally do not know where silver's value will lie during that point in time. If we could fast forward 20 years, 30 years, 40 years from now and look after the stimulus has been given out and silver's even $500, it would make sense to us because we knew what was about to, or we knew what happened already. See, we haven't experienced it yet, so we cannot try to even predict, but afterwards it will make more sense because we see what's happened. It's so blatantly obvious that silver is a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. And I say silver, not gold, because, like I said, going back to biblical times, silver was 2.5 parts silver equals 1 part gold. Silver is just as valuable as gold is. Just people have romanticized, have royalized gold. So I say that because when silver takes on a life of its own, right? When silver, with its industrial uses, takes on a life of its own, then it can start separating from gold. Right now, silver and gold are so directly correlated, right? Silver is gold's little brother. When gold goes up, silver goes up. When gold goes down, silver goes down. But why are they so closely pegged in price when they're used for two totally different reasons? You see what I'm saying? Silver is affected by so many other things, but the price is still moving with gold. Once, in the future, that's going to change. Silver's price will take on a life of its own. It won't matter what gold's doing because silver will be used and be affected by X, Y, and Z, not A, B, C with gold. And to even make my point a little more out there, which to me is also stronger, is looking at it like this. Not only will silver take on a life of its own from gold, but what's going to happen when silver takes on a life of its own from stocks, from the dollar index, from anything besides its uses and its supply and demand? We know the silver shortage is pretty extreme. That's why we see these huge premiums. That's why you're paying $15 premiums on an American Eagle that should be sold at spot price. We know the demand is booming. And as we advance technologically in this new digital era, silver is going to be needed more and more and more. Imagine how much silver we're going to need in like 15, 20 years from now. And imagine how short the supply is going to be in 15, 20 years from now. Do you honestly think in 15, 20 years, silver is still going to be sitting at $22, $23? Heck no. That's not even possible. There's nobody in the right mind that understands silver, understands the economy, could say that in 20 years from now, silver is still going to be $25. Right? Hold a $20 bill in your left hand, hold a 1 ounce silver coin in your right hand, and tell me which one feels like more money, right? Especially knowing that that $20 bill has already lost 98% of its purchasing power, and if 44% has been added in the last 20 years, imagine in 20 years from now, it will literally be in the negative territory. The dollar will not be worth anything. People don't understand that, though. So when silver takes on a life of its own, when stock market volatility will not matter or will not affect silver's price, that's when we'll start to see silver. If gold is sitting around $2,000 and silver is sitting around $25 and the prices are so correlated, imagine if they, or when they start to separate, imagine what silver could be. It could go up to $100, $200, and gold could be still sitting at $3,000. Silver can go up to $500, and gold could be at $2,500. But it wouldn't be that crazy to think of, because they would be two separate assets moving at two separate rates, and it wouldn't be comparable or compatible to correlate them to each other anymore, because they're used for two entirely different things. Gold is used for coins, bars, jewelry, stuff like that. Silver is used in everything technologically, which we need in everything. Silver is the most highly conductive metal for thermal conductivity and electricity and light sensitivity. It's used in everything. So as we advance technologically, silver is going to be the main asset that we use. Gold, no. So why is silver 80 times less valuable than gold is? It doesn't make sense. And I think that ratio is going to go back down, is going to go back to the 20, 30 to 1 level, meaning that if gold's at $2,000, $3,000, silver could be at $300, $400. And that wouldn't even be something that's crazy, right? It really wouldn't. We're desensitized to these extremely low silver prices, so we're used to this. But if silver was sitting at $200 right now, we would be desensitized to that price. And if you said that silver was $25, you would think we're crazy. Do you see how it's all just perspective? The perspective is going to change because times are ever changing. The dollar's ever changing. Silver's ever changing. People are ever changing. It's all about desensitized. And when you think from a desensitized perspective, you cannot think outside of the box, because that means you're closed-minded. That means you're only looking at things from what you've been conditioned to know. But you got to remember that times are ever changing, so what you think you know right now is not always going to be that. So anyways, I hope I explained this video. If you followed along and if this makes sense to you, let me know in the comments. Or if you think I'm outright crazy, let me know in the comments. Just be respectful about it. I definitely think that this is something rational, and I think this is something that is more than likely going to happen, not in a year, not in 2 years. I think to the extent that I'm talking about, it'd probably be in like 10, 15 years. But who knows? This pandemic has sped up things times 10, right? Even if the pandemic wouldn't be happening, I still would be making this video. But this pandemic has just sped up the time frame a lot sooner than most people were expecting. So if you thought this video was educational, informational, at least entertaining, make sure to smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. I post daily videos. If you thought this video was educational, informational, at least entertaining, make sure to smash the like button. If you want to know my new project, the crypto that's backed by physical gold, check out the link in the description. That coin is going to make me a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money. And I'm going to use all that money to invest back into silver. And I say that because the coin is called GSX. It stands for gold secured currency. And they're 10 cents a coin right now. I already have 27,000 of them. So if it gets to 50 cents, if I get 50,000 of these coins and it goes from 10 cents to $1 in the next 2 years, which it probably will, I'm going to make $50,000. I'm going to try to accumulate 100,000 of them before the sale ends in 118 days. So I'm looking to make at least $100,000 in the next 2 years, which actually isn't that crazy because a crypto going from 10 cents to $1 happens all the time. This is backed by physical gold and it's a stable coin. So the price is always going to hold because it's backed by something that holds its value intrinsically. So if you want to check that out, links in the description. I made a video talking about it a couple days ago. It's a very legit company. It's owned by Apollo FinTech, very respected, so it's not anything shady. But anyways, if you want to check that out, links in the description as well. It's my new little project that I'm working on. It's exciting as well. So thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.